It is no secret that you've been able to run Windows on your Mac devices using Bootcamp for a very long time. But as we've begun to transition to the M1 chips inside many of the Mac devices, Bootcamp just doesn't work anymore because we can't emulate an x86 architecture on our M1 chips. But that is all about to change. With Parallels and the release of Windows ARM Edition, we're actually able to install and run a Windows machine directly inside of our MacBooks. And that's what I'm going to teach you to do today. So buckle in, get ready, this is an exciting one. Okay, so here we are on my desktop. Now there are a few prerequisites that we're going to need to ensure that we actually can get this working on our M1 Mac. Of course, we do need a version of Windows to actually install, but this can't just be any version of Windows like you would normally get. You need the ARM-based solution, as the M1 chip is also ARM-based. Thankfully, there is a beta for this already, and I'll drop the link down in the description below. You will need to be a part of the Windows Insider program. It is free to do and really easy. And you'll be taken to this page here. Once we've signed in with our account, we can see that we'll actually be able to download the Windows Client ARM64 Insider Preview build. At the moment this is 22454, but there will probably be newer ones in the future. Just download this. You'll notice that it's not a normal ISO file. It's actually a virtual machine file that is built specifically to run on a virtual machine. So let's go ahead and download that now. The other thing that we're going to need is actual software to build this. So we're going to be using Parallels in this case. This is Parallels Desktop 17 for the Mac. It has a free trial period, which is for 7 days. If you decide after those 7 days that you really like it, you can go ahead and buy it. It costs between £60 and £70, depending on the kind of license that you want. I highly recommend doing this trial before you go ahead and buy it, because there are a few quirks and oddities with running Windows inside of a Parallels machine. So let's take a look at that. Obviously, I've already downloaded this and it's already ready to go here. Once we've loaded up and installed the Parallels software, we will see a page like this that basically says, hey, you're running an M1 chip. Please make sure that you're running an ARM software. So we're going to create a new one, continue, and we're going to actually choose that file that we just downloaded. I suspect mine is probably still downloading in the background. So it is looking for a VHDX file. This is the virtual hard drive file that we just downloaded before. We can go ahead and select a file, and we'll see just how far this has got with downloading. I don't suspect it's anywhere near done. So let's come back to this once it's all ready. While we're waiting for this to install though, let's talk about reasons you might want to run Windows inside of your Mac. Well, for me, there is two major reasons. There's gaming and there's productivity. The gaming side of things, of course, everyone knows gaming on a Mac is pretty difficult, and Wine doesn't work anymore, especially on these M1 based Macs. So this is why we have to run a virtual machine, which is specifically built to run Windows and be able to game. The other is more my style, and that is productivity. So coming into this, the main reason I needed to be able to do this was I've started to develop a lot more apps for my work, and some of those need to specifically run or at least be tested on a Windows machine. I don't particularly want to buy a Windows machine just for testing and development, so I went ahead and just installed this virtual machine with Windows on it. It can run many of the softwares that I need. Visual Studio, Unity runs pretty well, everything like that, all of the environments that I need run, and they run perfectly fine here. There are a few oddities and quirks which we'll talk about once we actually get in, but those are the two main use cases, and in those two main use cases, this works very well. If you're just wanting to run the Office software and maybe run a few emails, then this works absolutely fine. Some games won't run at all, and if they do, they'll run at slightly lower frame rates. That's just because you're running an ARM-based chip, and Windows trying to encode all of that and change it over from x86 platform to the ARM platform is pretty difficult. Apple seem to have nailed it down with their Rosetta software. Windows and Microsoft really haven't nailed it down. Things don't run as well as they should. So there we go, that file's downloaded. We can go ahead and select a file, and we can choose that virtual hard drive file. It says straight away that this is Windows 10. We can click continue, and we're given a few different reasons for why we might want to use this, and it will optimize its tool sets for that. For example, productivity, software development, software testing, design, and games only. Now, in my case, I would use it for software development, but I don't have a pro license for this yet. I'm still running under my trial period, as I suggest you do. So let's just choose productivity for now. Clicking continue, we're going to choose where this is going to sit. So we're going to call it Windows 10. What's really nice is you can actually run this off of your main drive or an external drive. Now, in my case, I bought the lowest end M1 MacBook Pro, so I've got 256 gig of memory, I think. That's not enough. That's not enough in my daily life, let alone to run a secondary operating system off of it. So I really highly suggest buying an SSD or an external SSD drive. I've got a SanDisk one here, 1 terabyte, really high speeds, and it doesn't skip a beat. So let's go ahead and just create a Windows folder on my external drive. Click open, and then click create. So we'll call this one Windows 10 Dev. There we go. And we're going to leave it. I'm actually going to leave this to run in real time because it's actually quite incredible just how quickly this thing loads up. It's a little bit scary actually. But of course, before we continue with today's video, if this is the first time that you're seeing my face on your screen, then 1, lucky you, and 2, go down there, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification icon so you get notified every time I upload. Honestly, it has been a roller coaster ride this year. I've gone from strength to strength, gaining subscribers, and we're getting towards the end of the year. So I've got a little bit of a sub goal in mind. I'd like to be at 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If you think you can help me with that by sharing with your friends, family, your cats, your dogs, your grandparents, everyone in your life, share this video, share my channel, and get subscribing. It would mean the absolute world to me if we can hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Anyway, back to the video. What is pretty incredible about Parallels though, is we actually have access to all of our Mac documents inside of our Windows build. So you don't have to copy across files individually. The whole file system is there and ready for you to use whenever you need it. And we can actually see already we are in Windows and it is installing and setting up. It is that quick. It's ridiculous, and I'm so impressed by the speed that this is to actually set up. What we're actually seeing here is an early development Windows 11 build. So even though it says it's Windows 10, this is Windows 11 and you're seeing all of those Windows 11 features. We're going to let it just reboot and set itself up. It will only take a couple of seconds. But once we're into that desktop, let's take a look around and see just how quick and optimized this is, and have a look at those features, including being able to see all of your Mac documents directly within your virtual machine. Okay, so this is our last reboot now. We're just getting into that operating system, and we can see one of those new little animations there for starting up. What it's going to try and do very firstly is actually try and update to the latest build of Windows 11. It actually won't do this. Obviously this chip doesn't have, or the MacBooks don't have the security chip. Obviously the MacBooks don't have that security chip that is required by Windows. I think it's the TPM chip. It doesn't actually have the TPM2 chip built in, so you can't actually update this to proper Windows 11, but you can run this build completely fine. It does say this will take a few minutes, and it's right, it takes maybe a minute or two to actually get ready and set up, and then you'll be landed onto the Windows desktop, and you can use it just like any other Windows machine. It's incredible just how seamless and easy this is to do. But as I say, there are a few caveats to doing this, especially with the ARM version of Windows. Many of the apps that you're used to using will run slowly or simply not work at all. This is of course due to change over time, so as newer versions of software come out, they will be more optimized towards its ARM chip. You might even be able to get ARM versions of these softwares. It really does depend just how Windows tackles the ARM movement. Obviously, x86 architecture systems are not going anywhere, especially not with Windows. Obviously, with our MacBooks, we plan to have that transition over to an ARM chip done within the next few years. That's not going to happen with Windows, but that doesn't matter. So here we are on the desktop. We can see actually it says installation complete. We can click to continue, and we get thrown into a full screen of our Windows desktop. It's showing a few updates that it wants to do, and as I mentioned, it actually won't be able to do any of these updates, mainly because of the kind of, we're missing that security chip that Windows requires. So we can actually see we've opened up Edge and it says Windows successfully installed successfully. Go ahead and close that. And we can see on our desktop, this is just the normal Windows desktop. All of our key bindings work as we would expect them to. There is a new file on our desktop as well called Mac Files, so let's go ahead and open that and see what's inside. We can see Home and iCloud. This is actually all of my files that are on my Mac, directly interactable and viewable inside of my Windows machine. This is pretty incredible because I don't particularly want to have to copy files to and from all of the time. Let's go ahead and open up Office and I'll show you a couple of those apps and how they work. You'll see just how fluid and quick this is to actually set up and get going. Everything just works seamlessly and it's really nice. So we can go into our downloads folder, and this is our shared downloads folder. This is all the same files that we have on our Mac. Same with our documents, same with our pictures, everything is shared. So actually, when you're choosing to install an application, you're actually installing it onto the internal drive. So of course, you can install any application you want in here. It is just a Windows machine. If, for example, I'm on my Mac and I download a Windows executable file and I double click that, it will automatically open up in Parallels on my machine and start installing it there. It's very, very tightly integrated. So there we have it, guys. That's just how quick and easy it is to set up Windows 10 or Windows 11 ARM Edition on your M1 MacBook or any M1 device. Let me know if you found this video useful. If you did, I'm really glad because when I discovered this, it felt like a life-changing feature. I really didn't want to have to buy a separate machine, so being able to run it on my daily driving machine is just incredible. Anyway guys, my name's been Robert, this has been Review Clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.